So here's the box. Just a fairly plain box with rabbited sides and a little finger hand cut out. And here's the pictorial view. You can't really measure these sides and rely on the scale. It's only meant to look at and visually look like the object as much as possible. So I'm just going to point out, normally the front view, also called an elevation, is shown at the bottom left. If a top view is included, it's shown directly above the front view. The side view is always beside the front view. And so we look at the short side with the finger cutout is here. But I want you to notice that these lines are in line. They're lined up with each other on the drawing. The baseline of the bottom of the box is lined up, and so is the top. Depending on the amount of detail that needs to be shown, there may not be a top view. There may only be a front and a side view. Now let's add the dimensions. The box is 400 by 280. The end grain that will be showing on the front side will be 6 millimeters. Since the detail here shows a 6 millimeter ply bottom, or plywood, we know that the rabbet to accept the bottom will be 6 millimeters, so that is not marked on top of it. The elevation here, or the height, is 60 millimeters, and it's easy to see that that applies to both of these separate pictures, the side view and the front view. Nowhere can we see on the drawing a dimension line that shows you the thickness of the board. That's because it's simply marked over here as another detail. Milled stock is 20 millimeters thick, so milled stock being the final size. So you're working with 20 millimeters thick material. That will dictate how wide your rabbets are. Another thing to mention is the radius. The cove for your fingers is shown as 110 millimeters long from the center of each circle, and the way we define that is to mark the radius. So it says the radius is 10. It means from the center line here it's 10 millimeters to the outer edge. So it's easy to mark the centers, and then it's 110 millimeters between centers. Now this is a great big drawing, but right in the lower corner here, the scale says half equals 1. Well, this is in inches, so this means half an inch on the drawing equals 1 full inch on the physical object. So this is the front view of the tool chest. This is the outer case. We see here that it's 25 inches. This board, the bottom board, is 25 inches. We can see that the extension line is perfectly lined up here to the inside of the board. And if I measure this, let's put it above here so we can see the dimension line. We can see from this extension line here to this extension line is 12.5 inches, which is exactly half of 25. So what the box will be is a 1:2 ratio, or twice as big as what the drawing actually is. So you can trust the drawing for actual measurements. If it's drawn properly, it means that for something that is not shown, you can measure it on the drawing for a reference. Now that may not necessarily be very accurate for several reasons, but just something to keep in mind. But as a visual, it's wonderful, and it really helps to locate things. I also want you to notice on this drawing that the bottom is lined up here. So the important things to remember here will be the dimension lines, the extension lines. Notice that there's a little space here. Let's go back to the other drawing. Dimension line, extension line, dimension line, extension line. A broken line that indicates a line that's hidden, or an edge that's hidden. A center line, and a detail. These are the most important things to remember. And also that all of these line up, these lines like this, to help you visualize.